with you if it's so it seems like everything is working fine. We are live. I'm just gonna do the final setups. Joel, you can go ahead, start the show.
Hey, everybody. This is Joel with iodnations.org on our Substack. Now, Ashfaq, I'm just in here. Are you going to send me a link in just a moment for Substack? Is that where we are?
Yes, I sent you the link in our group chat, messenger group chat.
Got it. Okay, let me open that. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? This is Joel with IOD Nations, International Online Democratic Nations, on our live feed for Substack. Hey, Rakesh, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to definitely want to make sure and discuss your article that you did. Is that any chance that that is actually Tim Ferriss who just joined this call? Um, that would be insane if Tim Ferriss was in this call. Is that the Tim Ferriss by any chance? Um, so Rakesh, I'm going to want you to talk about that article and talk about the, uh, how those various overthrows, recent overthrows of um, authoritarian governance systems might have benefited if there was a template for international online citizen led democracy. So I definitely want to have a talk about that a bit today, um, and how that model could work. So if you're new here, you're going to hear me, and especially since we're starting a little bit early, you're going to hear me repeat some things a little bit. I've got Kent, Rip, and T. Ferris. I don't recognize you guys from previous shows. So iodnations.org stands for International Online Democratic Nations, what we refer to as online citizen-led democracy. Hey, Mary, how are you doing? And so this is based upon this quote that I came up with, or sort of a question modeled as a Socratic question, which is, if a business no longer requires brick and mortar, does a nation require land and borders? And we contend that it doesn't. I kind of equate it to the way that the internet age has changed the definition of a shopping cart. Um, when 30 years before the advent of the internet, if you talk to anybody about what a shopping cart was, well, everybody knew, at least in America, it was the cart on wheels that you go into the grocery store and you put your groceries in. And now, I, I might imagine there's even some people in the world that definition would be their secondary definition, and their primary definition and their first introduction to the word shopping cart would be an online shopping cart. And I'll give you a quote by a guy that I'd like to follow. His name is Arthur Schopenhauer. And Schopenhauer said, all truth passes through three stages. I'm paraphrasing here. First, it's disregarded. Second, it's violently opposed. And third, it's accepted as self-evident. Okay. So if you're talking to someone who's, under the age of 18 right now, actually, probably under the age of 30, it is self-evident to them that a shopping cart is an online portal, part of a platform which you put your items that you're purchasing into. And that's just self-evident. But years ago, that was not self-evident. Okay. Years ago, before the internet, we would have told you were crazy. Um, hey, Barb. Hey, T.O. Thanks for coming in. International Online Democratic Nations, online citizen-led democracy. That is what we are about. And so this shopping cart is just like an international online democratic nation. Okay. The we're we're in the I would say we're in the disregarded stage of this truth where people just don't, hey Barb, or I guess I said hi to Barb. We don't we don't think of online citizen-led democracy as something that we need to achieve. For some reason, we kind of view it that we have achieved it and that it's already here, or it's something that is not achievable. Um, I'm going to let us get to 20 people here. Hey, Draco, can you get together that commercial that we did where we kind of spoofed off of the Coinbase commercial? Hey, Michaela,
Okay, I'm gonna
I'm gonna
play it.
wait. Let's wait. I'd like to get at least 20 people here. Okay,
All right.
so but what this commercial does is it was a Coinbase commercial. I believe it was this one may not have been the Super Bowl commercial, but basically what Coinbase was doing at the time related to cryptocurrency, which you could say cryptocurrency has certainly gone through Schopenhauer's 3 stages of truth, right? First, it was disregarded, then it was violently opposed, which may be still happening to some point. But cryptocurrency is accepted now as self-evident. It's all over the place. We know it's real. Um, and we're committed to the fact, and we believe that online citizen-led democracy is just the same thing. It's inevitable. It's based upon the premise that um, we do not access the internet. Okay. We are the internet, and we grant others access to us via the internet. Okay. So, um, when you click your mouse, when you go somewhere, um, you're allowing them to come into your computer or your electronic device. You are not, in essence, going to them. And if enough of us refuse to grant them access to us, then we become the ones who are in control, right? Because Facebook or Twitter or X, whatever you want to call them, um, their at least the social media aspect of their empires is without value. Hey Bree, um, they don't they don't have any inherent value if they don't have access to us. Hey Patrick, and so what we have to do is we have to control that access to us, right? We just simply have to put up some filters. And I'm gonna post a video in here in just a little bit, and it's gonna be by let me find this. It's called Predictive History, and his name is Professor Jiang. Okay, and if you haven't heard of him yet, you will hear of him very soon, because he is just blowing up on YouTube. Hey, Dave, MCAT, Wingfield, we are International Online Democratic Nations, IOD nations. We promote and we are championing and we are going to make online citizen-led democracy happen, or you guys are going to make it happen, and we're going to be here to help facilitate that. So let's do this, Draco. We're gonna share a commercial that we made that sort of illustrates it. For those of you, we used part of a Coinbase commercial, and it illustrates this future of online citizen-led democracy. So Draco, could you go ahead and play that for us? And then anyone oh, here we go.
It's called a bicycle, but will anybody ride it?
Organize international online community nations and use the internet for change? Why? Everything is great, right?
The automobile is here, but horses are here to stay. Elevator? What's wrong with using the stair?
Young people become world leaders? The world's youth would never unite online. They're too lazy and immature to impact world issues. Right?
A telephone? Who would actually use that?
People said it was not possible to fly through the air.
It's unclear if commercial air travel will ever take off.
Flying over the Atlantic.
I give you a go to launch, Artemis 1.
We're on our way, Houston.
Do we really need personal computer?
Women can't lead an international online nation. That's absurd. Corrupt old white men will always lead the world. Right?
I mean, come on, who's gonna carry a computer?
No
Never.
way.
No.
Who would actually use that?
A so-called information superhighway.
Why'd she take all that stuff online?
Credit cards on the internet?
The web is full of scams.
Come on, electric vehicles will never happen.
I know that you won't believe it, but the highest form of human excellence is to question oneself and others.
Hey, Joel, I just want to interrupt. We have a guest called Pat Moder. So welcome to the IOD Nations live chat. Would love to hear from you. So go ahead, Joel, continue.
Okay. So, now I'm not sure. I just have the end of that video up there. So, if possible, so there's a couple things going on here. We do a live chat. We allow everybody to come in and make comments. We don't charge for that because we're not here to make money. We're here for a purpose. And that purpose is to get the pro-democracy citizens of the world to unite online. And because of the makeup of our audience who follows us, although we've kind of had some challenges in the last couple of shows, where we're not being able to promote things within Substack like we were before. So our audience has shrunk quite a bit. We're not experts at this, so we're trying to figure it out. But previously, the majority of our audience was women, and our emphasis has been on establishing the International Online Democratic Women's Nation as perhaps the first online citizen-led democracy that happens. And we actually have an email and social media strategy and plan that can make that happen. And I'm going to outline part of that here today. We're going to talk about the No Kings March and how that might impact things. So what I want to try and establish is where you are, where we are as a human being. Okay. So Carl Jung said there were 3 questions you can ask any person and learn about them and learn who they are. And the first question was, what are you afraid to lose? And so I would say for everybody who's here, if you would be willing to participate in this, would you answer that question if you can? What are you afraid to lose? And then the second question he said we should ask a person in order to really get to know them was, what makes you angry? Okay. Now I'm imagining that a lot of people here, you know, might, and it might be appropriate given what we're here for, might choose to look at this socially, democratically, and all of that. And then the third question I thought was really interesting. He said, how do you treat those who do not benefit you? Okay. And it really made me think, if I'm meeting people and if I'm looking at putting myself out there, and if I'm asking you to meet me and understand me, my mission, the reason I'm here is because I've been working to promote online citizen-led democracy for 10 years and I've failed at it. And I didn't want to put myself out there, but I am out there 100% in. This is my mission. I made a New Year's resolution that I would make it an international topic in the year 2026. And I actually think that we will accomplish that a lot earlier. And this is how. So I'm going to tell you a little story here. Today I was just flipping through Facebook and there was a post from 5051. And 5051 is one of the groups that is putting on the No Kings March, which I believe is going to be on March 28th. And this is what they posted. What will be on your No Kings protest sign? And a bunch of people got in there and they're sharing their stuff, and some of them, people are doing these really beautiful, elaborate signs, and some have a really positive message about freedom and democracy, or some have a, you know, some joke or something that, you know, insults the GOP or Donald Trump or the DOJ and all of this stuff. And I kind of had flashbacks to the last No Kings March that I attended, and I tried to get people in the audience to talk about what we could do, what we could accomplish. And I've ended up becoming a bit critical of Indivisible and 5051 and Act Blue and Move On and Midas and some of these other entities who are putting on these things. And I thought about, instead of what will be on your No Kings protest sign, I thought about, what shared message could we all put on our protest signs that would unite us in action? Or related to our signs, is there a viable tactic or strategy for these signs. So we've got Indivisible and 5051 and Move On and the Democratic Party. It's entirely possible that this protest on March 28th is going to be the biggest, might even be the biggest protest in history, anywhere, at any time. And this group who's running it is treating it like these protests have always been treated, right? There's no tactics, there's no strategy. It's like, well, we hope everybody will show up and be peaceful, and they'll create, you know, there'll be millions of them across the world, and they'll create all of these amazing, fun, beautiful signs. But what the fuck are we going to accomplish?
Hey, Joel, I want to interrupt a little bit. So we have two guests now. We have Misaka, Wichikon. Welcome. Pat, also welcome. We would love to hear from you. If you can unmute yourself and let's discuss ideas.
So, hey, Misaka, how are you?
Good. Sorry, I'm dialing in late, so I don't have as much context into this conversation.
So no, that's great, and we really appreciate you joining, because this does require a fair amount of context, and we end up repeating ourselves quite a bit to try and relay it. It really helps us if somebody comes in. So what do you know so far, or do you have any questions so far?
Making decisions, but I'd be curious to know how you imagine that would work.
Yeah, I'm sorry, part of that cut out on me. Can you say it again, please?
Well, what interested me was about the post saying citizens making like decisions, right? As opposed in democracy, as opposed to representatives, I'm assuming. So I'm just curious as to what that means and how it would work.
So, yeah. So where are you from? What, are you from the United States?
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay. So one of the examples we use, Rakesh will share it, the link, and he'll shake his head in disbelief that I can't remember the name again. There's an application, I think it's called Decidim or something like that. And this is an application that somebody designed to integrate with governments anywhere from a local basis all the way up to an international basis. And so, for instance, in Barcelona, they use this application, and if 5,000 citizens sign a petition on a particular idea, okay, then the governance of Barcelona is committed to investigating or dealing with that issue that those citizens presented, okay? So that's a really elementary beginning of these better ways that we integrate, that we use the internet and the virtual world to unite citizens where they don't have to come together physically, or they don't have to wait until they're voting, and they don't have to go to a board of supervisors meeting or whatever. They can simply do it this way. They can come up with the issues that are important to them, and they can submit it to Barcelona, and the governance of Barcelona has to deal with it. So that obviously makes sense, right?
Sure.
Okay. What we do, because and what I've been trying to talk to people about for the last 10 years is that everything in our world, every corporation, every business, every social cause, every political party, for instance, every social media platform, all of these entities are organized online. So you probably missed this at the beginning, that the foundational quote or question I came up with was, if a business no longer requires brick and mortar, does a nation require land and borders? And we contend that it doesn't. Okay. And so all of these entities are organized online. And in other words, the soybean trade will have I'm sure a national and an international organization, and I'm sure they have a website and an online presence where they collaborate and work, and they have their different entities. The challenge is we don't have a place online where all of us who are pro freedom and democracy are collaborating and united and working together for freedom and democracy. For some reason, we believe that this can only work with a bunch of individual groups, like for us in the United States, Indivisible, 5051, Act Blue, Midas, all of these. And honestly, for 10 years, I just can't understand why I'm not a tech guy, why we don't understand that uniting online in one or a few locations would just dramatically alter the power structures of the world. So one of the other contentions is this. So and I don't see it in front, and I'm sorry I forget your names. Can you say it for me again?
I'm Misika.
Misika. And I'll probably screw it up
That's
again,
all right.
Misika. And it's not just your name. I'd do it if it was Dave. So let me ask you a question, and this is a question for everybody here who's listening. So Misika, do you access the internet?
Yes.
Okay. I disagree. I contend that you grant the internet access to you. I view it as like the glass half full, glass half empty sort of thing, in that Facebook, if you use Facebook doesn't get access to you unless you give it to them. Okay. You control that portal. You decide whether you turn your device on. You decide when you turn that device on, whether you click on Facebook, and you decide when you put an X on it and when you close it out. You are granting Facebook access to you. And so thus, what we say is, we do not access the internet. We are the internet. And so now I'll take that a step further, Misika. Let's look at Facebook, for instance. I consider Facebook a nation. If anyone here hasn't really looked at it, Facebook swung the election. The amount of propaganda and bots and everything that they allowed when Trump ran against Clinton is what ended up with Trump getting elected. And they came out and apologized for it, and they changed their policies. But here's the point. Facebook was capable of doing that because they are a nation. Okay. I am a citizen of Facebook. I go on there. I access Facebook. I purchase products that are advertised on Facebook. So in essence, I'm supporting Facebook as a nation. Facebook has a governance. Okay. They're an authoritarian nation. Facebook has their individual economy, which is their staff and their employees and all of that. And in an ancillary way includes their investors. Okay. And then they have their whole virtual interconnected economy, which is how they do business with all of us. Okay. But Facebook's value, Misika, is me. It's you. Facebook's value as a social media platform is that they are virtually worthless without us. And yet we grant them that access and we treat it as if they're the ones who have dominion, right? We treat it as if we need them. Does any of that resonate with you, Misika?
Sort of, in the sense that I suppose I see Facebook as a tool, right? It helps me keep in touch with my family. And we have a neighborhood group here where I live.
Okay.
That, helps us keep updated and send updates about stuff happening in the neighborhood, right? But beyond that, to me, it's a tool. Now, granted, I am older, so my demographic is a little different. But maybe if I was, 30, or 20, maybe that answer would be different. And to me, I just, I have a collection of tools I use, right, to live my life, and Facebook being one of them. And as far as you saying Facebook granting access to me accessing, or I suppose Facebook and me having some sort of access to each other, that, yeah, sure, that's true. They learn my habits, they sell my habits to advertisers, right? So that they can make money. And that's understood, to me at least. It feels understood because, I use it for, that is my compensation, or that is the compensation that Facebook gets, right? I get something for free from Facebook, they get something from me so that they could sell to the advertiser.
Now let me, okay. So let me.
Can I interrupt you guys for a moment? So we have another
Yeah. Go ahead.
Called Pamela Guzman. Welcome back, Rakesh. So Pamela, would you care to unmute and talk to us? So I guess, Joel, you can keep talking while when Pamela joins, we can start talking to her, okay?
Yep. So Misika, I'm not really tech savvy, but I have become aware of something. So I'm going to throw you something out about Facebook. So Ashfaq and I, in promoting this idea of online citizen-led democracy and our iodnations.org, we want to run advertisements on Facebook, and we want to target groups. And in order to target them, our primary focus, because of who and what we are, is on freedom and democracy. Yet Facebook will not allow us to run an ad that has the words freedom or democracy in it. They deem that unacceptable. So if we put forth an ad that says the word freedom or the word democracy in it, that ad gets denied and we can't run it. So when you describe Facebook as a tool, I didn't, and I'm sure I still don't fully understand algorithms and some of this other stuff, but Facebook and the internet and the virtual world are the most powerful tool and weapon in the history of history. I contend that the internet and the virtual world is way more powerful than nuclear weapons and way more of a deterrent. But when I describe to you the thing about freedom and democracy, what does that resonate with you in any way? Does that make you think about things differently in any way?
Well, I do think, I think Facebook is, you're not wrong. Not I think when you read something on the internet, whether it be through Facebook or some news organization or anything, it is now becoming increasingly hard to trust what you read.
Yes.
And the reality is, whether it's because of algorithmic decisions that these platforms make or whatever, they take the worst impulses that are in humanity and they tend to magnify them, right? The only answer I know to really combat that is education, and that is very hard. But I don't really have a good answer for.
So let me ask you a question. What's your background? What, like, professionally?
I'm a software engineer. I ran a startup some time ago where I, believe it or not, co-founded an ad tech company. So I've been in the ad tech space before, prior to this current job I'm in, for like 13 years. So I kind of understand how some of these platforms work and stuff like that. But I grew up in the 90s, along with the internet, if you. I'm technical in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. So unfortunately, I've got a we're having a little bit of an issue with our connection, so I'm only being able to hear part of what you say, but I can see some of the text down below. How would I say it? What would you say to that, Ashfaq?
So I couldn't hear everything because Misaka was cutting out. Did you hear, or do you have the context so that I can give you my 2 cents of it?
I had little bits of the context. I'm having a little bit of a challenge putting it all together because I missed so much of it.
So I said trust, right? It's hard to establish trust on
yes. Okay. So we just Rakesh and I just put together an article today, and it's about promoting the International Online Democratic Journalism Nation. Okay. So I don't know if you remember back in the day when Ronald Reagan came into office. To me, what has turned out to be one of the bigger things that Ronald Reagan accomplished that wasn't great was there was so much misinformation and disinformation that was out there at that time that the more liberal parts of our government had started to put in place restrictions on news sources that required the things that they were reporting and saying to be truthful. Okay. And so you can imagine that means all of a sudden that you have the truth police, right? Somebody has to determine what is truthful. And when you have things that have all of this nuance, and again, this was even before the internet age, right? When you have all this nuance and all this propaganda and all this misinformation, and your point was, what can we trust? And so, hey, Lynn, thanks for being here. So Lynn has been here before, and we had a discussion about journalism. And so in this article, what we discuss is that, again, when we flip the switch and we realize that we are the internet, okay, and you can still have freedom of speech, okay, so you can still permit Fox News to put out their shit, which when it's fact tested, the numbers are really extraordinary on how much of their stuff is either out and out lies or misrepresents things. Okay. But if you're going to have free and democratic societies, you can't eliminate that. There has to be a way. But what these online citizen-led democratic nations permit you to do is you put up filters. And so, for instance, in the way that I envision it, the online democratic journalism nation would set up their own criteria, right? They're the experts in journalism, okay? And they're going to elect their president and their vice president. And they're going to be in all of these different nations. And they're going to set up these basic standards, these filters for journalism. So one of the ones that I've looked at a bit more recently is called Ground News. And so Ground News is a portal now that they'll take a story. I haven't looked at them yet for the Iran war, but they'll take the Iran war and they will provide you everything from, Fox News to Al Jazeera to CNN to NPR. And they will list all of those articles. They'll kind of categorize them and rank them, and then they'll refine them down to their main points. What I envision the international online journalism nation doing is much the same thing, except as far as what I, as a online citizen-led democratic world citizen, I would choose certain sources that this journalism nation has filtered and determined to be truthful and accurate. And that can be biased. You can be biased and be truthful and accurate. That's okay, because I want the bias of all of my news to be pro-freedom and democracy. So I believe that if we don't make being pro-freedom and democracy a part of our lives, then we're not going to be pro-freedom and democracy, right? I mean, I watched the Super Bowl in this, what I view as a crisis of our failing democracy, and not one commercial from any company at the biggest spends in advertising history, if that's your kind of background, and not one of them came out and said anything about supporting or promoting our free and democratic society. Does that resonate with you in any way? Does that sort of address what you talked about relative to, I think you said trust was the word you used. What do you think of that?
I want to add a few things, Joel. So Isaka, I am also a developer. I build websites, mobile apps, video games, and I think I can talk a little bit technicality to, and I also want we can. Oh, okay. So Misaka is getting out because his internet connection is not stable, but it's okay, Misaka. I'm just gonna leave the message here, so if you come back, you can listen to it. So when we build these platforms, for example, the Decidi map, okay, let's imagine we are making an app for democratic purposes or usage, and we are gonna use it in San Luis Obispo or in Bangladesh, okay? So what we do is the people actually build the app, and we share the source code with people. So there's no question of, like this was made by the politicians. We made it, and the code is available. Anybody can look at it to see if it's flawed or biased toward anything, okay? So, I mean, there's definitely ways we can implement those democratic changes that we need, and we can also build trust, but we need to collaborate. We need to work together. That's what is the most important part, and that's what we are trying to do is, invite all of you to come together and work with us so that we can create a better world for everybody. So go ahead, Joel.
So for anyone who's arrived and is newer here, we're iodnations.org, International Online Democratic Nations. We are promoting online citizen-led democracy. We are not like any other live chats. I am gonna share some stuff with you in just a minute, a really interesting video about what's going on in Iran. But what makes IOD Nations different, we're going to talk about email campaigns to get the citizens, the pro-democracy citizens of the world to unite. We're doing it. We're currently driving it towards NATO, the UN, and Governor Newsom's office. Okay. People in the future, I believe that international online democratic nations will become the dominant force on the internet. And so the IOD Women's Nation will be under the same umbrella as the IOD LGBTQ plus nation and the IOD Climate Nation and the IOD Journalism Nation and the IOD Art Nation and the IOD US Nation, where all of us citizens in the United States who realize that our government is broken, we're going to unite online in one primary location, and we're going to create our own parallel functional governance system. Okay. But what's going to be different about our system is that all of our citizens, all of the pro-democracy citizens of the United States will be a part of this online democratic nation. And the citizens will be the one who drive the agenda. Okay. The citizens will be the ones who will be involved in researching issues and topics and helping put it in a way that people can relate to it. For Misaka, he talked about education. Everybody talks about education. We could all, we should have created a online democracy school, right? Every one of us as free and democratic citizens should be required to continually learn more and educate ourselves and participate in modernizing and improving and making freedom and democracy more efficient. And so this whole idea of people need to be educated, we have this tool right at our fingertips. The book that I wrote is called The Recipe. I'll screw up the title a little bit, but basically it says, if you could save democracy with 3 clicks of your mouse, would you do it? And that's what we have. Hey, Button Up. So Laura Lee just came in, or Brian, or Linda, okay? We could all be part of different online democratic nations. So Laura and Linda could be citizens of the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. They could also and would likely be citizens of the online US Democratic Women's Nations. But let's say that one of them is gay, and they can also become a citizen of the International Online Democratic LGBTQ plus nation. Okay, so now let's say it's Emily is another woman who is the one who's gay and is the one who is a citizen of both of these nations. Well, Emily might be president of the International Online Democratic LGBTQ plus Nation. And as a citizen of the International Online Democratic Women's Nation, she could be directly integrated into and working with them on these shared mutual pro-freedom and democracy goals. And so what's happened now is she has more than doubled her power and influence in the world for what she believes in and what she's fighting for. And she can be, maybe she's an artist, okay? And she can be one of the founders of the International Online Democratic Art Nation. And that nation has created their own online music sharing platform, okay? And Joel and Ashfaq and Button Up and Lynn and Sophia and Pete, we could all say, well, holy shit, I don't want to go pay Spotify when I get my music. I'd rather go pay Rectify. And Rectify is the online music platform of the International Online Democratic Art Nation. And their money comes into them and it funds artists all over the world. It funds the musicians who created this art that we're paying the subscription for. And maybe they have a small percentage of that that goes off to support the overall online citizen-led democracies of the world. Now, people are going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, that's socialism. No, it's socially responsible capitalism. Okay, there's a Peter Thiel is the guy who invented, or was one, he and Musk created PayPal. And I don't know, 15 years ago or whatever, Peter Thiel did an article for the Wall Street Journal. And he said that the objective of any company is to produce the highest value. And the way you produce the highest value is a monopoly. Well,
hey, Joel, I want to
yeah.
interrupt a little bit. So we have a new guest called Rebecca E. Welcome to our live stream. So where are you from, Rebecca?
Hi, I'm from Indianapolis.
That is great.
Hey, Rebecca, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys?
Good. You've been here before, I think, maybe?
I've been following your posts. Yeah. But I've not joined
Okay.
you in live stream before, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
How much of what we've said have you heard today?
I just jumped on because I just got the notice, so I've missed all of it.
Okay. So tell me, given what you've read, obviously you must have read something that made you created enough interest to bring you here. What was there anything in particular that piqued your interest?
You know, I don't remember specifically what it was that I read, but I'm sort of I've been following the Epstein files pretty closely because I feel like that has the potential to bring all of this down. And I'm seeing all the interconnections in our culture and in other countries. And I'm following the whole thing. And I am very concerned about our democracy. I've been frantic since 2016. But I just needed to do something. I've been doing what I can, but I'm in Indiana, which I mean, Mike Braun is our governor, so.
Can you give me sort of like an age bracket and is there any like career or keen interest background that I can sort of understand where maybe some of your perspective is coming from?
Sure. I'm 55 years old. I'm a retired / disabled pediatric nurse. I graduated from Mount Holyoke College and then attended grad school at UCLA for my nursing degree. I'm a lifelong Democrat, multi-generation Air Force brat. Every generation of men in my family has fought for this country since the Civil War. And I feel like I can't be the one to let it go on my watch.
Damn. Let me tell you about me. So I'm 66, born and raised in Yorktown, Virginia, where Cornwallis surrendered to Washington. And we won our independence and founded the United States of America. I was, in some ways, I was also raised by Louis L'Amour as an author.
Sure.
I was kind of you know, I wasn't an outcast as a kid, but I had a tough relationship with my dad, and I gravitated towards those books, and I got to say that I got sucked into them would be the biggest understatement of the world. Like the ones that I read every book that Louis L'Amour ever wrote, and the good ones that resonated with me, some of them I read 7 times. So that's my background. If you know that, it's this whole thing of doing what's right. As a matter of fact, I copied something. I watched part of the movie the other day, and Ma Sackett said to I think it was Tyrell Sackett when he was having to leave, and she said, "No matter what you do, son, always side with the law." And so let's talk about this. So if you haven't been here before, our primary focus has been women. The vast majority of women who have been in our live chats, or vast majority of those who have been in our live chats, have been women. If you see Lynn's name in here, and you have any interest, you should reach out to her, because she has reached out to us, and we are going to found the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. Okay.
Awesome.
I believe that this women's nation is going to be become the most powerful and influential nation in the world. And before you leave today, we're going to talk to you about exactly how that can happen. But what I want to speak to you is or I want to speak to you about so many things, but one of them is this. I can't even come up with the words to describe how I feel about the Epstein situation. Okay. It is literally incomprehensible to me that we have millions and millions of pieces of evidence of large numbers of wealthy elite men, mostly white men, putting together a freaking empire to traffic, rape, and molest children, primarily teenage girls.
Right.
How in the hell can this have even happened? Right? I mean, do you have any kids?
I do. I have 2 daughters.
And I'm imagining they look at this the same way.
They do. For me, it's about the sex trafficking. That's an element of it, of course. As a woman, as a feminist, as a mother, as a nurse, that's all part of it. But it also, to me, I mean, I follow Lev Parnas and Waj Ali and Ellie Leonard. I don't know if those are names you're familiar with, but they're the ones I'm following with this whole Epstein stuff and some of their affiliated folks. And more, it seems to me that the Trump presidency is basically a Russian op that has been in the works.
So you're well informed.
Yes. I think so. And it is astounding, and I think that both elected Republicans and elected Democrats are complicit. And I think that's why, one of the reasons why our electeds have by and large been such a huge failure with this second Trump administration. I mean, the pushback or the lack, it's just been ridiculous. Ridiculous. And I voted Democrat my whole life. I'm not sure I ever will again. That's not going to matter to me anymore, man, because it's country over party time now.
Yep. Hey,
What's
I'm trying to think of it. Well, I kind of had a or a way I was going to take this show, and I really want to interact with you on this. So, hey, Draco, can you pull up the quote from Bucky Fuller, and can we play that for Rebecca?
Yeah, sure.
You
we can
tell
do.
me. Tell me when you're ready to hit. How long does it take you? Can you have it there in just a second?
Yep.
Okay, so Rebecca,
Yeah.
in my mind, when you said what you said, basically what it says to me and the way I interpret it is our government is broken. It's not working.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
It's dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
And here's what one of the world's greatest futurists and inventors said about how you deal with things when they're broken and when you need to change them. Let's listen to it.
Okay, I want to interrupt you guys for a little bit. We have a new guest called Anne Fowler H. So Anne, welcome. Hey Rebecca. All right, so nice to meet you, Rebecca. My wife is Aren, and we are actually trying to establish some, infrastructure or system where disabled people can vote. So we have the video ready, I guess. So I'm gonna stop talking, and if you are listening to us, you can unmute and talk to us or discuss your ideas. So go ahead, Draco.
Don't fight forces, use them. You never change things from within. If you want to change something, build a new model that makes the previous model obsolete. Dare to be naive. We are intended to be architects of the future and not its victims.
Play that again, Draco, would you please?
That was good.
Don't fight forces, use them. You never change things from within. If you want to change something, build a new model that makes the previous model obsolete. Dare to be naive. We are intended to be architects of the future and not its victims.
So this guy is one of the greatest inventors that the United States of America ever produced, which means he's one of the greatest inventors of the world. He designed the oh my God, why am I doing it? It's I cannot believe I'm forgetting the name of it now. It's the kind of round homes that are built with all of the little triangles. It was at the 1960s exposition or something.
Oh, okay. Like the geodesic domes?
He designed the geodesic dome and patented it, which if that had ever been produced, that was a way to build homes remotely. You just build all of these triangles and you put them together and then you have a home.
Yeah.
And so, but what he's telling us is, and what I get when I'm talking to you, our government is broken. So if you know what's going on with Russia, like what happened in how Facebook allowed the Russians to influence the first election when Trump got elected, here's what I believe. I believe that a whole bunch of these rich, corrupt bastards who rape children have now been put into positions within our government. So I believe a bunch of them were there already, but now, you know, there's like 20 of them who have either been put in offices or have them. I believe that what's going on is that Russia initially was blackmailing these people. And it just matches the Russian model for how they get control and how they impose themselves in places. And then I believe that Russia has probably sold or leveraged the stuff that they were blackmailing Trump and these other wealthy, powerful people with, like Musk or Thiel or whatever, Lidwig or whatever his name is,
Yeah.
or any of these bastards. I believe they're all being blackmailed. And so they've now formed our goddamn government.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, they know that some of the girls from Eastern Europe that Epstein got had Russian agents planted and then were married off to people that aren't to men in our government. That I know.
Yeah. And a lot of this stuff is out there and very visible and readily available if people want to look at it. Look at this. Now, but I'm going to come back and refer this back to what Button Up said. Build parallel systems. Okay. So let's imagine, for purposes, I want to, Ashfaq, if someone else was in here with Rebecca who wants to get into this discussion, that would be great. And they should feel free to hit mute and just cut in, and I'd like to engage them. But if they don't,
yeah, we have Anne. So Anne, if you can hear us, let us know where you are from, so that we can continue the discussion.
I can hear you all.
That is amazing.
Yep.
So where are you from?
Arizona. I'm an old person.
Most of us
Okay.
here are old, except for me and some of the guys who are overseas working, you know, helping out Joel. So go ahead, Joel.
So, Anne, how much of, before I continue on and I talk to Rebecca about this and about the whole sex trafficking and the integration of that with our government and international affairs and everything that's happening, is there anything that we've talked about or that you've become familiar with us that you either have a question about or that you find really attractive?
Well, I don't like sex trafficking, so that's one of the reasons I'm listening. So I want to hear what you have to say about it. I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. It's been since day when we started our lives. And not really. You said something about attractive, strange word. Nothing attractive about that. Sex trafficking is not something, and if you ever want to read any good books, there's some on, but it's not factual. They're fiction. Charles Martin is a wonderful author. Anyway, I'm just listening. I'm just listening. So I just learned.
I'm gonna take it to this point. So I'm an older guy. You can see me. I'm not really technologically savvy. I came up with the idea, I realized about 10 years ago, that if the pro-democracy citizens of the world united online, they would control the internet. And if they control the internet, they control the world, because the internet now drives the world. In other words, you can't find a business that's going to start that is, or it would be very obscure to find a business that's going to start that's not going to establish an online presence. Okay. Yes. They're just not going to be a viable business. All right. And so if we expect,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but one of the things that Musk and Thiel are planning, and they got a little bit down the road with this, I believe, with Doge, was to put our entire social identities online. And that's one of the reasons why they were dipping into the Social Security Department so that they could wipe us out digitally. And if you don't exist digitally, you can't get paid, you can't access services, you don't exist. Right? And that's what that's part of the idea, is to put our entire existences online so that they can control us that way.
But and that's right. But we live in this virtual world where in essence our existences are already online or are going to be online, and we're really not going to be able to avoid that. So in the beginning of this show, I ask everybody this question. I can't remember if the two of you have been asked, but I asked the question, do you access the internet?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay. We don't.
Wow.
We grant the internet access to us. Think of it like as the glass half full or the glass is half empty.
Right.
And you would not be here with me today. I would not be having this discussion with you if you had not granted me access to you, right?
True.
You found me, okay? Something happened that gave you the impetus to allow us access to you, okay? So when Rebecca is talking about Thiel and Musk and all of this stuff that they're doing, so my foundational one of the foundational premises is we do not access the internet, we are the internet. So I view Facebook as one of the first versions of an online virtual nation. They have their own, they have both their own citizenship, they have their own governance system. It's an authoritarian system. It's set up under traditional business models. And Zuckerberg is the ultimate authoritarian figure. Okay. They participate with the world socially, politically, economically, religiously, and in some ways you could even say militarily. Okay. They have their own economy that interacts with us. They are an online, in essence, virtual nation regarding their social media apparatus. Okay. Now, I'm gonna take that message and I'm gonna bring it back for Rebecca, and I'm going to tie it into child sex trafficking. Okay. One of the posts that we did about a week ago, I asked everybody to write a personal letter to the victims of Epstein. In other words, I'm here. I believe that the first online digital nation that's going to be founded is going to be the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. Okay. I believe it's going to happen. And I'm going to tell you why. I think that somehow or other, one of the things that's going to happen that could be a trigger is we're going to get in touch with the victims of the Epstein debacle. Okay. Yeah. Now, I would pose this question to Ann and Rebecca. If you were in this feed, let's imagine you came into this feed today, and instead of this old man sitting here in front of you, you had 6 of the women who were raped by Epstein, and they had decided that they were going to found the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. And when you look up in this feed, instead of 48 people there, you saw 160,000. Okay. And over here in all of these comments was a bunch of women talking about, we're going to get those fucking files released. And this is how we're going to do it. And we need you to sign up with us and become a citizen, because the more of us online Democratic women citizens there are, we have some specific strategies and tactics that we're going to put in place to get those files released almost immediately. Now, I bet that if that was the situation, if there were 10 Rebeccas and 10 Anns, okay, I bet somewhere between 6 and 8 of you would say, well, damn, all I have to do is share my email with them and I become a citizen of this badass online democratic women's nation, and it's being run by these women who were raped and trafficked as children. What else could I possibly hope for? Would both of you be likely to sign up for that nation?
Probably.
I would definitely. Yeah.
I would too.
So the point is that I've proven that it's not about me, although I want this fucking monkey off my back. It's about this. So I started off the show today. I said, I saw this recent video from Carl Jung, and he said, these are the 3 questions you ask any person you meet if you really want to try and understand and know who they are. And the questions were, what are you afraid to lose? What makes you angry? And how do you treat those who do not benefit you? Okay. Now, I'm going to make a case that both of you are here because you have some concerns about the freedoms that women are losing in the United States of America. I'm going to imagine that that's probably a reasonably important issue to you.
Yes.
That might not be the number one thing, but that's high on your list.
Yeah.
I can tell from talking to both of you that you're angry about these children who were raped and trafficked. Okay. And so if we all unite online democratically, we benefit everybody in the world. Hey, Draco, can you pull up the Maslow's pyramid? Are either of you guys familiar with Maslow's pyramid? I see
Yes.
Rebecca nodding her head.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of it, Ann?
Yes, I've heard of it. I don't remember what it is right now.
Okay, well, we're
Okay,
gonna,
let me share it with you guys.
and for you guys who don't know, this is Draco. Draco is from Bangladesh. He's part of our team. We call him AOP, our Agent of Peace. You'll have to watch his video. You have to watch his commercial that he made for the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. But Draco, there we go. Okay. So if anybody's studied psychology or sociology or any of that, Maslow's pyramid of needs is one of the foundational tenets of human psychology. And on the bottom, you can see breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, and excretion. This one's a little bit more detailed. Those are basic physiological needs, right? We need quality and quantity of air, food, water, sex, sleep. Homeostasis, I'm assuming, is shelter, and obviously, well, we all want to go to the bathroom in peace. Okay, and this is the foundational essence of being a human being. And once you have those, then you get into safety, love and belonging, esteem and self-actualization. But what I did as a part of my this manifesto that I was working on for online citizen-led democracy, I went in and I asked an AI, and I put those categories up. I said, air, water, food, clothing, shelter, and sleep. Okay. And I asked the AI, I said, on a scale of 1 to 10, can you rank those, whether a person is in a free and democratic society or whether they are in a authoritarian society? And when it came back, every category was more than double the quality and quantity of air, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep in a democracy versus an authoritarian regime. And so this brought me to create this new model, and the premise, and what I believe should be the premise of the International Online Democratic Women's Nation and all online democracies, is this: freedom, mobility, and democratic rights double your ability to breathe, eat, drink, have shelter, clothing, and sleep. I mean, look at what it did for women. It took us until 1974 before a woman in America could have a credit card in her name and a mortgage in her name.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I mean, it's just mind-boggling. You know, it's absolutely insane that they're talking about charging women with murder in Tennessee if you have an abortion to save your life, right? I mean, that it's out of control. And so my point is this: if those victims and all of you women united online as the world's first online citizen-led women's democracy, okay, what are all of the ways you could impact these things? And when you come back, we know you're afraid to lose your rights. We know that you're angry about the whole pedophile and everything that's going on. And look, if you organize and unite online and you promote freedom and democracy across the world, how are you treating those who do not benefit you? Well, you're doubling their access to air, food, water, shelter, clothing, and sleep. And you can accomplish all of this simply by clicking your mouse in unison and uniting online. What an amazing moment in history. What an opportunity that we live in. Is that crazy?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Hey,
you're right.
I have some questions for Joel, Rebecca, and Anne. So I think you guys have, have seen the latest news about the veteran who got his arm.
Oh my God.
And I would like to, so I wrote an article about it. I mean, this is actually something concerns all of us, right? I mean, they are hitting a veteran who served the country. So they're dishonoring. So I would like to hear from you guys. What do you think about, the current conflicts in the Middle East and the veteran? I think he's called McGinnis or something. So go ahead, Joel. Tell us, what do you think?
You want to know what I think? I think every fucking veteran in the world. I was fortunate enough not to have been a young man at a time when our country was at war, and I never had to face a draft, and I never had to face going to war. I think that every veteran in the world should be united online at the International Online Democratic Veterans Nation. And I believe that they should be working with the International Online Democratic Women's Nation, because women, and I'm going to show you this in a minute, I'm going to blow your minds today, okay? Women are far, far less prone to gravitate towards violence and war as the methodology to resolve situations, right?
Right.
And
yes.
the reason that we're sitting here right now is because women have not had a seat at the table with real power and influence to help prevent these wars and to help stop these things from happening. Hey, I'm gonna show this with you guys. This is gonna take a few minutes. But I really, really want to make this case. So here's Draco, I don't want you to start it yet, but have it ready to go. We're gonna pull up the Professor Jiang video and show it in just a moment. So let me tell you, Professor Jiang is probably the fastest growing YouTube channel. He might be the fastest growing YouTube channel in the world right now. This guy is so over the top brilliant. I still don't fully trust him, and I still don't buy into everything that he says, and I'm actually going to show you an example of that. But what I will tell you, when it comes to this whole pedophile thing, the stuff that he goes back into history on, the ancient transitions that we've made as nations and all of this, question everything. Right there, button up. What did Socrates say? And Socrates is on the cover of my book for a couple of reasons, and one of them is this. He says, imagine this, the greatest Western philosopher said, I know that you won't believe me, but the highest form of human excellence is to question yourself and others. So I'm going to play this segment on Jiang. So what you're looking at, this is a professor. He operates really fast at this board. And what he's discussing in this, he's having a discussion that's going on about the war in Iran, okay? And he's talking about how empires lose wars. So for instance, Rebecca, I don't know if you really follow the war in Ukraine. Russia has been decimated. They are on the verge of economic collapse. They are in deep shit trouble.
I know. And did you see the price of natural gas? One of their few exports just spiked overnight.
Well, we have to be really crazy where you go from, what's really happening and conspiracy theory and how do you interpret that, all that stuff. But what I'm talking about, I want to focus on this and we can come back and talk about that. But what Professor Jiang is talking about here is that he's talking about how a smaller country that's fully committed like Ukraine is can beat a much bigger enemy. And in this situation, he's referring to the empire being the United States. He predicted back in 2024 or 2022 or whatever, he said, Trump will be reelected. The United States will invade Iran. So he said this like what, 3 or 4 years ago, and the United States will lose that war. And I'm going to relate all of that back to International Online Democratic Women's Nation and Democracy. And it's going to blow your mind. So we're going to hit this and play this. Just watch this for a minute. Go ahead, Draco. Probably take about 6 minutes.
Must fall over time. But an empire cannot fall by itself. It needs an enemy that forces it to collapse. Okay? And so what happens is that an enemy will emerge that will overwhelm the empire because it is able to take advantage of the weaknesses of the empire. Right? And so what are the weaknesses of this empire? Well, the first major weakness of this empire is that the people aren't really motivated. So if you as people are really motivated, you have a huge advantage, okay? We call this energy. Right? Now, as an empire, you become insular. You refuse to admit your mistakes. You refuse to learn from others. Well, if you are willing to admit your mistakes, if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to promote the best and brightest, if you're willing to be meritocratic, you have a huge advantage, okay? And so this idea of openness. Now, last idea is this. An empire, it's fractured. So if you're able to maintain cohesion, if people are able to remain united, if they're able to have a common purpose, they will be strong, okay? So if an enemy of the empire emerges with these three qualities, energy, openness, and cohesion, this enemy will defeat the empire.
Draco, can you pause that?
Okay. So
now, where I disagree with him, and this is where I disagree with the majority of other Substacks and commenters and influencers and all of this. Professor Jiang, is only focusing on the negative. He's focusing on the enemy of the empire. But what I believe is, I believe that Buckminster Fuller is telling us to build, to dare to be naive, to build, to architect this parallel online citizen-led democracy that has energy, that has openness, that has cohesion, okay? All of the things that the enemy that will defeat the empire must have and will always have, has always had throughout history. I believe that we have the exact ability to turn this into a positive, okay? I believe that the International Online Democratic Veterans Nation would have energy, openness, and cohesion. I believe that the International Online Democratic Climate Nation would have energy, openness, and cohesion. And the Women's Nation and the LGBTQ Nation and the International Online Ukraine Nation and the International Online Canadian Nation and the Online Democratic US Nation, right? All of these united online would have energy, openness, and cohesion under this umbrella of freedom and democracy. And it would fucking overwhelm the enemies, okay? The empire that's over here, the broken United States government, these online citizen-led democracies would not, in essence, be defeating the broken US empire as an enemy. What we would be doing is we would be doing what Buckminster Fuller said. We would be building a better model that makes the previous model obsolete. Right now, in this model, Rebecca can go in and have an idea on the Online Democratic Women's Nation, and she can put that idea up. And like they do in Barcelona, if Rebecca gets 5,000 or 10,000 women who agree with her that this is an idea, this is an issue that the International Online Democratic Women's Nation needs to deal with, boom, it goes to the top of the agenda. Right there, she could get those signatures in an hour, okay? That could be submitted to a filtering group at the nation, the Online Democratic Women's Nation, that says, okay, we see what you're looking at. We've been dealing with some things on this issue. Rebecca, you and your group, you need to come back to us and answer this, 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 and this, and then we're going to work with you to address this issue. And in a matter of a day, this Online Democratic Women's Nation has taken a cause that the citizens of that nation have determined they're interested in having dealt with, and they've already expedited it. We live in this world where we can't keep up with change, and we're not using the internet and the virtual world to keep up with the change. The tool that's making the change happen too fast for us, we're refusing to unite together and use the tool to deal with the change. Draco, go ahead and hit play.
That's why an empire must fall over time. But an empire cannot fall by itself. It needs an enemy that forces it to collapse. Okay?
No, you got to skip forward, man.
So what happens is that an enemy is that the people aren't really motivated. So if you as people are really motivated, you have a huge advantage, okay? We call this energy.
Hey, Draco, can you skip that forward to where we were?
From others. Well, if you are willing
more.
to admit your mistakes, if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to promote the best and brightest, if you're willing to be meritocratic, you have a huge advantage, okay? And so this idea of openness. Now, last idea is this. An empire, it's fractured. So if you're able to maintain cohesion, if people are able to remain united, if they're able to have a common purpose, they'll be strong, okay? So if an enemy of the empire emerges with these three qualities, energy, openness, and cohesion, this enemy will defeat the empire. Does that make sense? Okay. So what I want you to focus on as you follow the news in this war between the United States and Iran is ask yourself a question. Will Iran become an energetic, open, and cohesive society? Because if it does, it will become invincible. The empire won't change because of hubris. It's too static, it's too stagnant, it's too bureaucratic. So the empire won't change. The empire will not admit its own mistakes. And quite honestly, Iran, because it's still a country of 92 million people, it still suffers from issues of mass organization and death.
Okay, so the point that I'm looking at there is really just structural, right? What we're trying to say at iodnations.org is that we live in the age of the internet. Everything in our lives has changed, but for instance, for some reason, the only thing that we haven't fully organized and integrated online is citizen-led democracy, right? I mean, if Anne is the president of the online democratic U.S. women's nation, okay, she should. Can you just imagine the power and influence if she and the president of the Canadian online democracy and the Denmark and the Greenland and the Ukraine, and all of a sudden, the power and influence you have, does that resonate at all?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does, but I'm too old to have the energy to even start something like that. That's my problem.
Okay. So let me tell you something.
It takes a lot of energy, just like he said, a lot of energy to do the type of getting something started like that, and then to keep it absolutely going. Yeah.
Oh, Red Rose is back. Oh my God. Okay. We're going to address that right now. And so for you guys who don't know, Red Rose is here. Red Rose was the first female line worker at General Motors in history. Okay.
Wow.
So Draco, can you go in and get Simon Sinek ready? So Anne, I'm going to address your point. So does anybody here know who Simon Sinek is?
No clue.
Okay. Yeah. Simon Sinek has the third most popular, I think it's the third most popular TED Talk. Okay. And it's about leadership and it's about human change. And it may not make sense to you initially, Anne, but I'm going to tie it back into what you said. But let's watch this together.
Something called the law of diffusion of innovation. And if you don't know the law, you definitely know the terminology. The first 2.5% of our population are our innovators. The next 13.5% of our population are our early adopters. The next 34% are your early majority, your late majority, and your laggards. The only reason these people buy touch-tone phones is because you can't buy rotary phones anymore. We all sit at various places at various times on the scale, but what the law of diffusion of innovation tells us is that if you want mass market success or mass market acceptance of an idea, you cannot have it until you achieve this tipping point. between 15 and 18% market penetration, and then the system tips. And I love asking businesses, what's your conversion on new business? And they love to tell you, oh, it's about 10%, proudly. Well, you can trip over 10% of the customers. We all have about 10% who just get it. That's how we describe them, right? That's like that gut feeling, oh, they just get it. The problem is, how do you find the ones that just get it before you're doing business with them versus the ones who don't get it? So it's this here, this little gap, that you have to close, as Geoffrey Moore calls it, crossing the chasm. Because you see, the early majority will not try something until someone else has tried it first. And these guys, the innovators and the early adopters, they're comfortable making those gut decisions. They're more comfortable making those intuitive decisions that are driven by what they believe about the world and not just what product is available. These are the people who stood online for 6 hours to buy an iPhone when they first came out, when you could have just walked into the store the next week and bought one off the shelf. These are the people who spent $40,000 on flat screen TVs when they first came out, even though the technology was substandard. And by the way, they didn't do it because the technology was so great. They did it for themselves. It's because they wanted to be first. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And what you do simply proves what you believe. In fact, people will do the things that prove what they believe. The reason that person bought the iPhone in the first 6 hours, or stood in line for 6 hours, was because of what they believed about the world and how they wanted everybody to see them. They were first. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So,
okay. So, Anne, what do you're laughing. What do you think?
I'm 82 years old. There is no way that I'm starting that. And I would not have been one of those people standing in line. I'm going, you're out of your mind.
Exactly.
It'll be out in a few weeks. I'll get it then. Yeah.
Okay, but
I want to say something to Anne.
Wait. I want to pick on her for a minute first, okay? Can I pick on you, Anne?
Sure.
Okay. What you told me is what you won't do or what you can't do. All right? That you gave me the glass is half empty. All right? Now, what I proposed earlier when we talked was I said, if we were in this group and it was being led by 4 of the victims of Epstein, and if there were 150,000 women or whatever, or people who were already here supporting it, both you and Rebecca indicated that you would almost certainly be willing to share your email address in order to become a citizen of that nation and see what happened, right?
Yeah, so I'm more in that 34% that he was talking about. I'm in that probably the first 34%. I like
yes. So the early majority in this situation. What I'm telling you and what we're doing, and I'm going to come to, and I'm going to bring all of this around, and I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to show you how Anne can be one of the innovators, and all she has to do is share her email address. What do you think of that?
You can show me. Sure.
Okay.
I'm listening.
I know. I got you here and I appreciate that. So this is my point, that the law of diffusion of innovation, I call it the law of human change, okay, for groups of humans. That law was established before the age of the internet. So for all of us, we all grew up before there was an internet, before there were cellular phones,
right,
before any of this stuff existed. Okay. If you go back, I'm not going to ask Draco to pull it up, but if you imagine that curve, the first thing I think that, and don't let me forget you, Ashfaq, the 2.5% I think has been both decreased in volume and velocity. I think that our online virtual world and these algorithms and us being overwhelmed with information and all of that stuff has either made it smaller or made it less viable. Okay. But what I also believe And here's the magic. So when we talked earlier and I talked about this nation where it was already established and you guys would be willing to join it. And then I talked about Rebecca proposing this idea that got adopted and happening immediately. Okay. What I'm referring to there is once you become united online, okay, once you have a large enough audience and you have access to each other, Rebecca can post that idea and get 10,000 people to say they agree with working on that idea, okay?
Yeah.
Like this, okay? It happens like this. And because you're already online and you're already under the umbrella that we are the pro-freedom and democracy women of the world, if that idea fits into people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Because you're doing it because it's pro-freedom and democracy, you've immediately sold it, okay? Within a day, you have taken this transition, this law of diffusion of innovation of change, and you've made it where in many situations within a day, you can create a movement. And let me give you an idea of a movement. I'm going to take it a step further. Ashfaq, go ahead, and I'll come back to it. Tell us what you got.
All right. So, Anne, I wanted to like give this to you straight, but I would like to add a few more details to it because right now we are currently navigating to a significant structural shift toward intensified polarization, which is redefining social interactions, politics, and economics behavior globally. So the key point here is like you have to, I mean, we are right now in a current state where you either have to be a critical thinker or just don't think at all. You have to like actively participating into conversations or do whatever you can to like join with people who are like-minded. So you said that you cannot be lead these things. So I tell you that you just have to take the initiatives, and then people like us, people like me, who have the energy, we will follow you. We will take
right.
So that's what we are asking you for. And also, Joel, I want to give a gift to Anne and Rebecca for staying with us for so long. If you can drop your addresses, we will send you a T-shirt as a gift of token or sorry, token of appreciation. So
it says make democracy offensive, not anonymous.
Yeah.
If you want, you can.
I definitely agree with the whole premise. If I was 50 years old, I might be thinking differently. But at the 82, I'm not.
Well, Anne,
okay, so
you guys, can I say something to Anne?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, he was talking about the 15%. I was thinking about something similar when the group Indivisible got gearing up again for the second Trump administration. They were talking about how we need to get 13% of Americans on board with us. Yeah. And the reason why they were going for the 13% is because they were saying, if you can move 13% of a culture toward a direction, that's enough to create momentum toward a tipping point, and change will be inevitable. And so what I think he's talking about is just by submitting your email and participating on that level, even if you don't take it any more forward than that, right? Except to maybe tell your girlfriends over lunch sometime, that you've done that is by itself enough of an action to add to the momentum and create the snowball effect. Am I right? Is that what you're saying?
Oh yeah, you're definitely right. I just don't have the energy to do that. Even that part of it.
Oh girl, give us your email. Let us do it.
Pardon?
So Anne, I'm not gonna pressure you. I'm gonna make one last, I'm gonna throw out one last thing.
Okay.
When we're done today, Rebecca, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Are you interested in learning a bit more about us and possibly participating in sending some emails?
Yes.
Okay. Lynn, who's here, is going to do the same thing. Now, if you're interested, Anne, if you would like to share an email with us, with Rebecca and with Lynn, they will find some way to reach out, okay? And all I think that they're going to ask, we're trying to put together an email campaign to NATO and the UN and Governor Newsom's office. And in that email, all it says is this, you can just copy and paste it. It says, please accept this email as my application for citizenship as an online democratic world citizen. That's it. You're just saying in the email, I would like you to accept my email as citizenship as an online democratic world citizen. Okay. And then periodically, they may ask you to copy some text, put it into an email, and hit send. And that is the extent of turning you into a fucking rebel.
Yeah.
Okay. You get to become one of those founders. Oh, Sean's here. Just by agreeing to send some emails. So at your age where you're feeling these reservations, all I'm trying to do is encourage you to flip the switch that says, okay, I'm not really convinced, but what the hell? I'll send a couple of emails. Let's see what happens. Something might come from all of this. Okay. And why not try? What do I lose if I send some emails? And damn, I was on there. I haven't seen Pamela yet. Pamela, if you want to engage, because I know I'm going to have some discussion with Sean.
Yeah, glad to have Sean back, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you guys?
We are doing great.
We're doing really good, and we've got some. Anne has been a freaking trooper here. Rebecca is amazing. We've got Lynn, who's over in the group, who we're going to, you and I, Sean, need to talk about what we can do with Lynn. We're small, but we're mighty. Okay. But Rebecca made a point. Rebecca talked about Indivisible and the 15%. So Sean, you got to give me a few minutes.
Okay.
And the 15%, and Sean is putting on an event in San Luis Obispo that's called the Beautiful Movement. Okay. And I think all of us here recognize that Indivisible and 5051 are putting on the next No Kings March, which I believe is happening on March 28th, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Yeah. So now I'm going to tell you a story about what happened to me today on Facebook in a thread with 5051. And 5051 wrote this post. What will be your No Kings protest sign? Okay. Now, I'm a big fan of these protests in a certain way. Okay. And there was all of these people commenting. Needless to say, the majority of them are women. They've come up with these creative signs. You can see these hilarious, cutting, satirical signs. You can see these inspirational ones. You can see the ones that people put all this time and effort into. Sean's done that. Okay. And I'm looking at all of this and I just about want to cry because I've been trying to get, I interrupted the last protest here in San Luis Obispo in front of 7,000 people. And I'm going to explain to you why. Their message said, what will be on your No Kings protest sign? What I wanted to see is, what shared message can we all put on our protest signs that will have an effect on what is fucking happening right now? Is there a viable tactic or strategy for these signs? How can we use these signs to make a difference and achieve something? Does unified marketing and messaging work? And how irresponsible is it to potentially have the largest protest in human history and nobody is coming up with one or more common messages that when all of us are there at this event that we can unify? What if every fucking sign said, unite democratically online, unite democratically online, unite democratically online? What if you had 1 billion people with that sign and it had the email for NATO? Okay, you would wake up the next day, Mark Rutte, the head of NATO, would be making a public announcement. We don't know what the fuck just happened, but we have 100 million online democratic citizens who want to collaborate with us. And here's how we're going to begin that strategy. And our primary source to begin with is going to be the founders of the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. And we believe that they're going to become the first recognized online democratic nation. And because women make up 50% of the population in the world, we believe they're going to become the most powerful, if not one of the most powerful. And immediately, in a day, right, now you've got NATO and the UN and Ukraine and the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. And what are they doing? They're doing two things. How do we end the war? Okay. How can we stop the war in Iran? How can we stop the war in Ukraine? And you know how we do it? We get the fucking Epstein files released, because the minute those files are released, all of this leverage disappears. The women of the world become one of the most powerful forces, and you fucking changed everything. And these guys don't recognize that this opportunity is there. And Rebecca and Lynn and Red Rose and Maria, they can put together an email campaign right now to Indivisible. I sent Indivisible in 5051 a recording of what I would give as a speech. I would stand up, if I got the opportunity to speak, I would stand up, and in San Luis Obispo, there will probably be at this rally, I'm going to guess somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 people. And I would stand up and I would say, everybody here, raise your phone. Everybody who has a phone, raise it. Okay. Right here is a QR code. This QR code is the email address for NATO and the UN. And all I need you to do is just type in the subject line, I would like to become a registered citizen of online citizen-led democratic nations. And just everybody here send that message. If everybody did that at every rally, we've altered the structures of the world's politics, society, religion, economics, and military. And women have now become one of the most powerful forces in the world. And it's all because Rebecca and Lynn and Joel convinced Anne to share her email address. That's the power of the internet. That's the world we're living in. And that's why our live chat, we need you guys to share this thing. Nobody else, everybody's talking about the problems. They're talking about what's what's in the Epstein files, that the 12-year-old girl now is shown to have bitten Donald Duck on his duck, you know? We need to stop talking about what we can't do. We need to start talking about what we can do.
Yes.
Speak to
Amen,
me,
brother.
Sean.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's definitely time that we became a unified force and started demanding something for the access that they have to us through the internet. We need our own terms of agreement, and we need to take control of how they are using our power. I mean, this is us. We're there. As I say oftentimes,
We are the internet.
We are. And as I often say about the people in DC, the people that we're so terrified of would maybe fit in half of a high school gymnasium bleachers, maybe. I mean, there are millions and millions and millions of us. There's some tiny little, so, you know, let's stop pretending that they have all the power. We have the power. We just have to organize and use it.
For sure. Oh, I totally agree. I think we have all the power. There are 70% of us are agreed on these things. 70% of us. When does that ever happen? There are 70% of us, but they're so busy trying to get us to snipe at each other over bullshit things, right? And
all we have to do is fucking push this mouse together, right? On that one day. That one day, if everybody just clicks their goddamn mouse and sends an email, you rip their guts out.
Yeah,
It's
instead of calling a Democratic senator and asking him to write a strongly worded letter.
Well, do that too.
Yeah. Who remembers? This one's for you again, Anne. Who remembers the movie? Oh shit. Okay, help. Field of Dreams.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. What was the mantra of Field of Dreams? What was the whole movie about?
Basically, you can do anything.
Yes. If you build it, they will come.
Yep.
Okay. So here I am. If you go back to that video that we played of the law of diffusion of innovation and trying to achieve the 2.5%, right? The internet, remember when I said the internet has changed the whole dynamics of the law of diffusion of innovation, right? That now, if you're united online, you can change things like this. You can go through that process at the click of a mouse. Okay. The thing is I've been here hunting for these women leaders. So I speak before, part of my thing is I speak before the San Luis Obispo County Board of Supervisors every week that they happen now, okay? And I talk to them about international online democracy. And I joke, I am the president of the International Online Democratic Women's Nation. And the reason I'm the president of this women's nation is because I haven't found the woman leader who's ready to step up and run for that office. Okay. But here's the magic of this.
I do understand.
If you build it, they will come. Those women leaders are out there. They're over here screaming for unity and collaboration and how can we work and how can we do better, right? Hey, Draco, can you get the Jen Psaki longer video version ready? Could we share that with everybody?
I agree totally with what you're
Okay,
doing.
I'm making this ready and
I
let you
have
know.
to go.
Oh,
okay.
Before you go, I want to say, we, the Ion Nation, wanted to give you a T-shirt, a gift. So if you want to redeem it, you have to drop your address and
email.
phone number.
Don't ask anybody for their address or phone number. We don't want that public, okay? The most I would ask for public would be an email.
No, you actually, you can send your email or your address in our Zoom. So it's not public. It's in this group chat where only we can see. And Joel, please send a t-shirt to Sean as well. So go ahead. And yeah, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Anne.
Yeah.
Hey, okay. Draco,
Joel.
this is, yeah.
I've got to run for a minute. I'm going to leave this up because I'm going to come back.
Okay.
But I've got to go take care of something. I'll be back.
Okay. We're going to play one of the videos that we made that talks about who and what we are. And it leads with, if Jen Psaki is a pretty influential, progressive person. So we start off with a quote by her. This has a little bit of length to it, but if you would listen to it, that would be great. Go ahead. Are you ready, Draco?
Yes, I'm ready.
Can you hit play?
What Trump has left us is going to leave us with, may he leave the White House, is a completely chaotic and destroyed government system that isn't doing necessarily what it's supposed to do for people. So there's an element of like bold competence. I don't know what the exact thing is, but that I think I would like to see. And maybe this is more of a 2026 thing, which is kind of, there's no, institutions are not popular. The party is not popular. So to me, some of what I'd like to see from candidates is free themselves from feeling like they're obligated to defend everybody in power and everybody who has a position of power in every institution out there, even if they're defending values.
What I will tell you that is different from all those failed lying politicians and failed plans and programs is this. Project 2026 will improve the lives of more Californians than any other plan that any other candidate is offering or has ever offered. Together, we are going to launch a bold new kind of citizen-led and involved online democracy. And when we do it, every authoritarian and every corrupt criminal elite, they are going to shit their pants, because together we are going to make life better for as many of us as possible. This is how we begin that process.
It's brutal knowing that all the world needs to do is unite online in one location and just have, I don't know, maybe let's say 100 million people, right? And all they do is they click on to a public notification to Facebook, and it says, we, the international online democratic citizens of the world, now control Facebook. And poof, it's done. Just do that. And the consequences, the reverberations of the pro-democracy citizens of the world uniting online. Every authoritarian in the world, every elite, they will now shit their pants. We live at this transition in human existence where there is this thing called the virtual world that has been created, right? And from the time it was created, it has become more and more influential over our lives. And what's happening right now is we are literally transferring between the time when traditional land and soil-based humanity ruled over everything. It was everything. But now virtual reality is beginning to dominate the real world stuff. So in essence, it is not virtual, it's real world. And the simple thing is that no company, or I was going to say no company is worth more without the people who are there online, right? We are the commodity. They need our money. They need to milk us. But we can flip it around, right? We're at this time in history where all we have to do is go, boo, and it's done. And nobody will talk about it. It's fucking crazy. Now we'll give you something to smile with. I made some music. And some crazy video stuff. If you like Bernie Sanders, you'll enjoy this.
What the fuck is it gonna take? The clock ticking, democracy slipping, snakes in the kitchen, freedom in a chokehold. Yo, who's gripping? Socrates whispers, truth bombs, no fiction. Big hands Newsom, palms on the gavel. World unravels, systems fragile. Typing revolution, scrolling battle. Scrolling but silent, nah, we can't straddle. Make democracy offensive, what's the price? Power to the people, not the roll of dice. Unite online, ignite the fight. Blow this shit up, bring the wrong to light. Algorithm scheming, got your mind in a cell. Scrolling through the circus while the earth yell. Policy for sale, dreams they compel. But the masses sleepwalking, trapped in the spell. What's it gonna take? A quake in the brain, floods in the veins, break out the chains. History's a loop, but we can reframe. Riot in the comments, spark that flame.
Draco, you can go ahead and cut it.
Truth in your pocket, lies on the screen. Click revolution, control alt dreams.
Very good.
So, what do you think?
That sounds great. That sounds very cool.
So, what I would ask Rebecca, and hey, Red Rose, are you interested? So here's the offer I'm going to make to anybody and everybody who's still listening here. Okay. You've got me, Draco, Rakesh, Ashfaq, and Radoy. Okay. I've hired all four of those guys on slave wages, and they're helping me with this movement. Okay. So Sean, I was just telling everybody, anybody here who wants to work on this, we are here for you. We have a team of 5. We have some certain things that we're doing to keep things going, but we're trying to get the women of the world and others to organize email campaigns. If I were doing this, I would be putting together a mass email campaign to 5051 and Indivisible and asking them what in the fuck are they going to do to take advantage of this situation so that I don't walk away from this next rally wondering why I came here and did all of this and I don't feel like I accomplished anything. Okay. That if it were me, that would be one of the primary focuses of my emails. One of the other ones would be, so here's another one, really, Rebecca, this is interesting. We don't have any young women here. We don't have any young people here. Okay. Right now we're putting together a list of, we have over 150 university professors for political science. We're trying to get them and their students, and we're putting together other emails. We're trying to share this with them and try and get those young women. Can you imagine, Rebecca, if you and Lynn and Pamela and Red Rose, all of a sudden you had 100 young women who were technologically and social media savvy, and they were in this group next week, and they were saying, okay, let's get this shit done. Let's put together an email campaign. We are going to make this happen at the next the No Kings rally, and we are going to establish the International Online Democratic Women's Nation, and there is not anybody in the world who's going to stop us, right? We've got like 20 days, but I'm I'm this ADHD fired up guy. What I'm telling you is anybody who's in this live chat right now who wants to work on this, our resources are available. Lynn talked to me about somebody she knows who's an influencer, okay? And we're trying to construct articles every day. I constructed an article that I think will appeal to that influencer. And that's all we need, right? When I started this live chat today, the first name that showed up was T. Ferriss. And I don't know if you guys know, but there is a guy out there named Tim Ferriss who's pretty famous. All we need is a much larger audience here, and we need Rebecca and Pamela and Red Rose and Lynn to be over here in the comments saying, okay, ladies, okay, folks, we're going to put this email campaign together, and saying, Joel, can we meet after this show today and talk about what we could do? And I've got Ashfaq, Draco, myself, Rakesh. I think Radoy is around. Sean might have to go, but I bet if he didn't, he would probably jump right in. And we would sit here and start brainstorming on an email campaign. And I've got email addresses, and we could start making things happen. And that is what makes this live feed and IOD Nations different than all of those other people you're watching. Okay, they've got bigger audiences. They got people over here in the comments who are throwing up, you know, hearts and exclamation points and screw Trump and screw the DOJ and we've got to stop this and all this stuff. We're the ones who are sitting here saying we've got a plan to stop them all. Okay, we got a plan to get the Epstein files released. We've got a plan that can make women the most powerful and influential social, political, economic, religious, and I can tell you how to do it militarily. You can become the most powerful force in history. Women can literally change the trajectory of humanity just by figuring out how to click their mice together strategically. And that's this point that we live at. And I will bust my ass and do everything possible to help you take advantage of it. And I mean, I feel like I've scored today. I feel like Rebecca is sitting here saying I'm here and I'm willing to help out, and I know Lynn is. So
yeah, I totally am. I would stay and have that conversation right now, but I actually have to hop off too because I have another obligation.
No worries.
I did submit my email and everything into the chat, and if you can shoot me another email, we can set up another time for all of us. I would totally be willing to have that conversation about what do we do now.
Let me ask you before you leave.
Yeah.
Ashfaq, you've got her email. It's in the feed and we've copied it, right?
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
Rebecca, I'm going to do another show on Monday and Wednesday. Do you think you'd have the ability to come back and join us?
Yeah, I don't have anything that prevents me that I know of.
Okay. Thank you so much for being here. If you could, if you visit any of those other Substacks or whatever, if you have a message, if you feel like we've communicated something that's different to you and something that's viable and worthwhile, if you could help us share that, if you could help restack some of our articles, anybody you know, any group you work with, anything you can do, we'd really appreciate it. So thanks so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you and working with you in the future.
Sure. Oh, and just so you know, I'm involved with the South Indy Indivisible chapter, and I'm the table lady. So I'm responsible for putting our materials out on a table for people to see. So for all of Indianapolis, yeah. So
really,
yeah.
Okay.
So we can get some info out, at least here.
And did that message of what to do with the No Kings rally? I mean, did that resonate with you? I felt like it did. I thought I saw you nodding.
It absolutely did, because I feel like, what, another fucking protest? I mean, I'm glad, but when are we gonna do something?
We're gonna have some fun together, Rebecca.
All right, good. Let's raise some hell.
You got to ask me about this. I'm going to get you introduced to George Clooney. How's that sound?
That sounds great. That sounds great.
And I'll make you smile when I tell you how we're going to do it. All right.
All right. Very good. Very good. Well,
All right, thanks for being here.
I look forward to talking to you again. I really do. I'm glad we connected.
Same
I
here.
am too. I really appreciate you.
All right. Thanks, gentlemen.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay.
Hey,
Joel,
Asfaq, is
Yeah.
Pamela going to talk to us?
Yes, Pamela actually, she is listening to us from the very beginning. She's participating with us in the chat, and she's totally on board sending those emails out. So I guess she's not ready for. She's
Okay.
busy. She said
Yep.
something like she had lots of
No worries.
and stuff. So
So Sean, right?
Yeah.
You've watched us on this journey. What are your thoughts coming into things at this point?
Coming into this, I mean, I'm so overwhelmed with getting ready for my event on the 21st that I'm here more to lend emotional support and to lend a little bit of energy where I can. But I think it looks like you got something moving here, so that's good.
Okay,
that's a long time coming.
Yeah, yes, it is. Hey, also, I agreed to donate some money and some effort towards what you're working on. So make sure you reach out to me so that we can do that in a timely manner. And do it.
We need to talk.
Yeah, we do.
So we'll chat after this, I guess.
Yeah. So I did all of that stuff. So I'm going to do one last thing. We're just going to experiment with this and try to pull this off. So I'm a big fan of quotes, and I've been searching for, in conjunction with that, I've been searching for influencers, because I feel if I can get one influencer who has a decent sized audience here to listen and pay attention, I believe it could flip the switch and blow this thing wide open. So Draco, are you ready?
For which one?
Okay, so here's what we're going to try and do. You're going to play the Mackenzie Scott video. These are all like really short, only a couple of second videos. But Mackenzie Scott asks a question, and then I recorded a bunch of influencers and their responses to that question. And because the question has a little bit of nuance to it and a little detail, and you'll obviously know that this is an AI generated Mackenzie Scott, but we're going to play Mackenzie Scott's question over multiple times, and we're going to have about 8 influencers give you their response to Mackenzie Scott's question, and we'll see how this all works. So go ahead, Draco. Give us Mackenzie, then
pro-democracy citizens and women regarding establishing online citizen-led democracies and the international or national online democratic women's nations. What would you say to the world's pro-democracy citizens and women regarding establishing online citizen-led democracies and the international or national online democratic women's nations?
Now, how quickly can you play one of the answers?
What would you say to the world's pro-democracy citizens and women
Draco,
regarding establishing online citizen?
You got to play the question and then the answer from the influencers, okay?
All right.
Led democracies and the international or national online democratic women's nations.
Content.
Now, Joel, I'm a bit confused about influential videos.
Okay, so I'm going to keep talking. So Ashfaq, can you work with Draco a little bit? The idea is to have Mackenzie Scott ask the question and then have one of the influencer videos that answers it, and then have her ask the question again, and then have the next influencer answer it. Okay.
All right.
So if you can work with him on that and let us know when you're ready. Button Up, can you tell us where you're from? You've been commenting in here. And obviously we seem to have said some things that you identify with and like. If you're talking about carrying flyers with more info for those curious, I mean, at the No Kings March, that is, I mean, it could be as simple as that, right? Even if you can't get an organized email campaign, you could just simply do something where Indivisible could announce, we're trying to do an email campaign. We've got flyers up here with the email address and the message, and everybody here can pick one up. There's just so many ways that we could accomplish something like this. And so, you know, I'm really hoping that we will continue this this transition towards working on this. The other thing I would say to anyone who's here, if there were any materials or any of the stuff that we provided in this live chat that struck you or really resonated with you, either if you would like to get links to those to share those with someone, or if you just want to let us know what resonated, because we always want to try and be doing stuff that makes a difference. So what do you think, Ashfaq? Can Draco try this again?
Yeah, he says he's ready. Let's see. So Draco, share your
Okay,
screen.
there might be a little pause as he transitions back and forth between them, but I think you'll really like some of our influencers.
Don't let anybody tell you you're not enough. I tell people all the time, you may not do politics, but politics will do you.
If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
So this is all about
a woman with
what
a
would
voice.
Go ahead.
A woman with a voice is by definition a strong woman.
We're trying to encourage the women of the world to unite online democratically.
If you don't see a clear path for what you want, sometimes you have to make it yourself.
Common sense is not a gift, it's a punishment, because you have to deal with everyone who doesn't have it.
That wasn't really the one intended for here, but we'll go with that one. Go ahead, Draco.
The reasonable man adapts to the world. The unreasonable man persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable women.
Pause that, Draco. So part of this is my point about messaging this and gearing it towards women, okay? Everything, the reason we are where we are and the majority of the systems and the people that are in place and have the power are men. And in that quote, Bernard Shaw says, therefore, all progress depends upon the unreasonable man. I think that Sean would tell you that I've been unreasonable in different ways over a period of time for a number of years as it comes to this. And the point, you think? the point I'm trying to make is that we're at this moment in history where the women of the world can choose to become unreasonable, and you can place yourselves into insanely influential and powerful positions across the world. Give us one more, Draco.
You see things and ask why. I dream things and ask why not. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself.
Why not unite online? What? Oh, we got to have the guy who got me going on all of this. Go ahead and hit that one. We played it already, but I want to play it again. This is what inspired me in the beginning.
Don't fight forces, use them. You never change things from within. If you want to change something, build a new model that makes the previous model obsolete. Dare to be naive. We are intended to be architects of the future and not its victims.
Okay, so I think we're going to wind this show down. I'm imagining that maybe a bunch of people have left and we've gone on a bit long, which I have a habit of doing. Sean can attest to that as well too. Okay, is there anyone here left in the live chat who would like to participate in or get more information about an email campaign that we're looking at making happen? If anyone here, if you're either interested in being in one in the future, you can put your email address and say future, or if you're interested in it at present, you can put your email or you can just say present. But otherwise, we're going to bring this chat to an end. And I think, hey, Sean, are you available to stick around for a little bit? I think go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think what we would do is, Ashfaq, can you get Sean a link to a new Zoom chat if we end this one and close all of this out?
Yep. So I'll send him that. So are we closing this live?
We are.
All right. So everybody who watched this show, thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. See you on our next show.
Monday, 11 o'clock. Be there, be
Monday,
square.
11. Yep.
Joe,
All right.
Joe, this conversation between you and Joel and I, this is going to be private, correct?
Yes. So we are gonna finish this one, and then I'll send you a link in our messenger chat. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, man.
Good seeing you, Ashfaq.
All right. It's okay, man. Okay, bye-bye.